everybody. So I had someone send me a message and ask if I could do another sort of like beginners or new to yoga or just a little bit more relaxed class. So here I am filming it for you. Change of scenery from the live videos that I've been doing. We moved the furniture around in the living room so that I could film in here because it's quieter and then the light is better, so then the film comes up easier. The tips of my fingers might get cut off a little bit because I can't get the screen on my computer big enough to get all of my body when I stand, but that's okay. So here I am. We're going to do a nice beginners or just a more gentle flow. And I have a necktie, and I have the Yoga's and Other Works and the Complete Works of William Shakespeare. So get yourself some big, thick books. Unless you have a yoga block, then you can use a yoga block instead, but I figured I would use these in case you don't have them. And if you are stuck in isolation or quarantine, or if you're just social distancing and you don't want to go to the store to get yourself some blocks, nice big thick books and a necktie are just fine. And we'll get started laying on our backs and get that tie and have it close to you. So finding your way down, take a moment, feet flat on the ground. See if you can widen through your shoulders, so pulling those shoulders out before you bring your head down. Take a second, rock out through your hips, and then look down. See if you have, maybe your legs are a little bit over to one side. You want to bring the front of your pelvis all the way up to your spine to be in line with your chin. Let me get my hair out of the way. All right, so hands down by your sides, palms facing up. We'll take some long, deep breaths here. So if it feels good, you can let your knees drop in towards each other. And then we'll just bring one hand onto the belly, one onto the chest. Long, deep inhale, down to the hand on the belly. Let that fill up. And moving all the way up into your chest, that hand's going to lift as well. When you're ready to exhale, pull down through your belly. Let all the air release out. So you should feel your hand on your belly lower and the hand on your chest. And then just keep repeating that. So setting the air down to that hand in the belly. Filling all the way up through the shoulders into the collarbones. As you exhale, exhale out, starting with the belly, pull it in. And just continue breathing like that. So as you're breathing here, take a moment and try to find anywhere that you might be holding tension. Try to let it be released. So maybe you need to let your arms relax down. I just had my shoulders really tight up here. Maybe it's your face, maybe it's your jaw. Just try to let everything be nice and soft so you're melting down towards the floor. And try to really focus in on your breath, keeping your mind in the present moment. We'll take 3 more long breaths here. And then trying to continue that long breath as you move through your practice. We're just going to bring the hands wherever feels comfortable. Your knees are going to drop over to the right. If it feels good, your left arm's going to reach out behind you. Maybe you can look at it. And if this doesn't feel like enough of a twist for you, you can stack your knees and start to draw them closer. But as soon as your shoulder starts to come off the ground, start to come a little bit out of it so everything can be relaxed out onto the floor. You can keep your hand on your chest, feeling that breath. on your next inhale, gently coming back to center with the feet, evening out your hips. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to scoot over a little bit, but letting your knees drop over to the left. Your right arm can reach. Relax down. And again, if you need more, bring your knees in towards your chest a little bit more. But if your shoulder starts to reach off the ground, release it back down and breathe. When you're ready, gently coming back to center with the knees, even out through your hips. We're going to take our tie, or if you have a yoga strap, you can use it. We're going to take it right onto the ball of that left foot and lengthen your heel up towards the ceiling. So you want your whole body to be nice and relaxed. You're not lifting your hips up to get that leg closer to you. Shoulders relaxed. You're using this tie to lengthen your arms longer. So maybe you want to bring your forearm or your triceps onto the ground. Maybe you want to let them just hang. And you can just start to sort of rock that leg towards you and away. Try to keep both hips on the ground. So maybe your leg's down here and you're feeling the stretch there, or maybe you need it a little bit higher. But just try to find the edge of that stretch rather than moving it to the point where it feels really painful. And then if it feels okay, we're going to take the right leg and you're going to slide it down and away from you, letting the heel relax on the ground. It's just going to deepen the stretch a little bit through that lengthened left leg. And if that doesn't feel okay, you can keep the knee bent with the foot down on the floor. So continuing to breathe here. And the next time that you're pulling that leg in to feel that deep stretch, hold it there. We're just going to try to press the heel higher towards the ceiling and relax into this. Maybe you can pull your toes back a little bit harder. Maybe you can pull the leg a little closer to you as you're relaxing here. But you're keeping your low back on the ground. And then we're just going to take the strap or your tie into your left hand. And you're going to slightly start to bring that left leg across your center body. So your left hip is still on the ground. You're only bringing it to where you feel the stretch. And then slowly bring it back out. So the same thing as we were doing before with the forward and back, but now you're just going in towards your center line, not coming off the ground with that left hip. It's staying planted down. Maybe each time that you do it, you can bring the foot closer up towards the opposite shoulder. And then the next time you have it over there, we're just going to hold it. See if you can relax down through that left hip. And then taking that leg back to center. You're going to bring it a little bit outside of the left shoulder, not out all the way. Just a little bit. We're going to start to bend the knee towards the armpit and then lengthen back out. So maybe you can't come very far, maybe you can come all the way down. But again, we're going to move through this. So inhaling, lengthen. As you exhale, take that knee out towards the shoulder. Try to keep both hips planted on the ground. And if this is too much on your right leg, you can bend the knee, giving yourself a little bit more range of motion. And this next time that you have your leg out there, knee bent, will hold. And then when you're ready, just releasing that foot down. Take this whole foot down to the ground. We'll move to the other side. So starting by bringing the strap on the ball of your foot so it's not in the arch. Your left foot's on the ground. And we'll just get nice and relaxed. Start to move that leg towards you and then away. So again, maybe your leg's all the way down here. This is okay too. Just finding where you can feel the edge of that stretch. Don't forget to breathe. And if you like to, like on the other side, you can lengthen that left leg long, keeping both hips on the ground. Noticing any differences you're feeling in this leg compared to the other. And then the next time you have that leg holding in, keep it there. Try to press out through your heels so you're starting to stretch down the back of the calf. Relax anywhere that's feeling tense. Keep trying to lift that heel closer towards the ceiling. Maybe you can bring the leg a little tiny bit closer toward your chest. And then when you're ready, we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side, bringing in the foot across. So your hips staying down, you're just bringing the leg across your center line to where you feel that stretch. You're not coming over into a twist. So keep your right hip on the ground, and then you'll bring it back out. Moving with your breath. So you're exhaling, bringing that leg across, inhaling to bring it back to center. Again, every time that you bring it across, maybe you can bring it up towards your opposite shoulder a little bit. Deepening that stretch, keeping both hips on the floor. Just finding the edge of the stretch. And this next time that we have the leg across, we will hold it there. Try to sink down into your right hip. Keep your right shoulder nice and relaxed. And then we're going to bring it back across, bring it just a little bit outside, so the foot is a little bit outside of your hip. We'll bend the knee, try to bring it towards the armpit, and lengthen back up. And just like before, if you need to, you can bend the opposite leg. It'll give you a little bit more range of motion. And just notice if this feels any different than the other side. So on this side for me, every time that I go to straighten the leg, I get a little tiny weird feeling in my calf because I have a spot that's really tight there. And when I move into some poses where my leg is straight out like this, it gets like a little, I don't know, it feels like an electric shock a little. So if anybody knows why that is, I think it's just my fascia is tight there, but if it's some other thing you know about, send me a message, I guess. We'll take this a couple more times. And then we're just going to hold it there. Connecting back in with your breath. And then we're going to bend that leg, release the strap. I'm going to take the strap so it's across your chest because we're going to use it again. So taking the hands right onto your knees, just rock around a little bit. We're going to do this stretch now, and then we'll do it near the end so that we can feel if there's a difference. You're going to take your left leg, cross it over the right. If you can hug your knees in here and that's nice and comfortable, go for it. If that doesn't feel great, start by bringing the strap behind your knees and then cross your left leg over, and you can start to pull it in. If you don't need the strap and it feels good, you can grab your shins on your opposite leg so you're pulling them in towards each other, or towards you. So you're bringing the legs out like this, but keep your head and shoulders relaxed on the ground, and just see how that feels. Rocking around a little bit. If you have two ties, I guess you could put one around each ankle and start to pull them out towards the opposite sides like that. That might feel good. Or maybe just needing it on the right foot since it's further away, and then you can hold the left ankle with the right hand. So just finding where you can feel a stretch here. It should be on the outside of your hips, maybe a little bit on the inside depending on how tight your hips are. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed down on the ground. So again, if you need to, that strap behind your legs so that you can pull them up off the ground without having to come up here and be all uncomfortable. So when you're ready, we'll come to the other side. So bringing the right leg on top of the left. Again, you can have the strap behind your legs, hugging them in towards your chest. You can grab hold of the ankles, pulling them away from each other. You could use a strap on each foot, or maybe just on the one that's further away. Just try to keep your head and shoulders on the ground, seeing how this feels, noticing if it feels different, if you feel this in a different place than you did on the other side. We'll take 2 more long breaths here. See if you can maybe pull the knees in a little bit more. Keep your low back down on the ground so you're not lifting. Everything's nice and relaxed. And then when you're ready, we're going to release that. Take the strap away, knees into the chest one more time, just rock around. And then if you want to, you can rock forward and back, finding your way all the way up, or you can just press yourself up. And then we're going to come all the way over onto all fours. Spread the hands wide, wrists are right under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. We'll start to move through cat and cow, so chest forward. Tailbone up, take the longest, deepest breath you can, and as you exhale, lift your back up towards the ceiling. And then we'll just keep moving here. So lengthening the chest, and exhale, lift. So if it feels good, you can get really dramatic, rolling the shoulders as you move through this. Or you can just stay a little bit smaller. And then coming through center, we're going to find child's pose. So toes together, send your hips back towards your heels. Let yourself relax down. If you need to, you can grab your book or both of your books or your block or whatever it is you're using and bring it underneath your forehead so that your hips can still come back without having your face try to get down towards the ground. You can lengthen your arms out. Take one more long breath here. And then we're going to slowly try to find our way into downward facing dog. So you'll come back up to all fours. Hands are going to come just one handprint in front of you. Spread your fingertips wide. Tuck your toes. I want you to keep your knees as bent as much as possible and start to send your chest back towards your thighs. So if you do this and you're like this is not going to feel good for your wrists, and it's not going to feel good on your back. So we want to bend the knees, try to get the spine as long as you can, press your chest back. And then you can hold here with the knees bent. You can start to pedal out one knee and the other. Spread your fingers as wide as you can and press into the tips of them rather than pressing into your wrists. But also, the further back you get your chest, so maybe you need to bend the knees a lot, that'll keep the pressure on your wrists. So if you're this forward, it's going to be all in your wrists, like when you're in a plank. So we're going to try to press back, press into the fingers, press into the heel or towards the heels, trying to find the weight back rather than in your wrists. Couple of breaths here. See if you can take those armpits and pull them down towards the floor so you're widening up through your back. Pull your belly in. Maybe you can tilt the tailbone up. Maybe you can reach your legs longer. Don't worry about getting your legs straight or your heels down to the floor. On your next exhale, we're going to come down. Send your hips back, finding a child's pose. So again, book can be under your head, or if it feels better, you could even bring, if you have blocks or a book, you can bring them back behind your hips, if that's comfortable for you. So you're sitting kind of back down on the block or the book, depending on how your knees feel about child's pose. Take 2 more breaths there. And then we're going to slowly come back up onto all fours. So if you felt like that downward facing dog was still not great on your wrists, you can roll the front of your mat and bring the heel of your hand onto your wrists, your fingertips on the floor so that the wrists are lifted. And we're just going to find our way back into downward facing dog. So coming here, holding, you can pedal your legs, try to get your spine nice and long so your knees are bent as much as you need to, reaching your chest back towards your thighs. And again, you can have the mat rolled up underneath your wrists, or you can put a towel there even. 1 more long breath here. And then looking forward, we're going to walk our feet up to the top of the mat. When you get there, knees are bent, your belly and thighs are friends. Grab opposite elbows, rock side to side. Shake your head, yes and no. And then we're going to roll all the way up. Reaching the arms up above your head, lengthen. As you exhale, hands down to your heart center. Take a long, deep breath. Try to kind of loosen up through your knees. Relax down in your shoulders. Take your toes up off the ground, spread them really wide. We can bring our arms down by our sides for mountain pose. Tuning back into your breath. Trying to bring your inhales and exhales to match. And then we're going to inhale, lengthen up. Really tall. As you exhale, bend the knees a little bit. Come all the way down, forward fold. Lengthening halfway up. You're going to bring your hands onto either your shins or your thighs. Roll your shoulder back. See if you can squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other, and you're trying to reach your sternum towards the front so your spine is long. As you exhale, fold back down, and we're going to roll our way all the way back up, lengthening towards the ceiling. And we'll do that a couple of times. So exhaling down, bending your knees, letting your belly come to your thighs. As you inhale, come part way up. Maybe this time you can lengthen your legs a little longer, pressing those inner thighs back towards the back of the room. And then exhale, fold back down. And we'll roll all the way back up, lengthening. 2 more like that. Come all the way down. Lengthen halfway up, roll your shoulders back. Maybe you can get your legs a little longer. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, roll all the way up. We'll take 1 more here. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, coming halfway up, roll the spine back. Exhale to fold. And inhale, reach all the way up, lengthening really tall. Take your hands back to your heart center. We're going to step back with the left foot. Finding warrior two. So you want your right toes pointing towards the front. You want your right knee pointing towards your second toe. So if you feel like your knee's dropping in, just turn your toes a little bit in so that way they're staying nice and aligned. Back toes can be pointing perpendicular to the front foot or maybe in a little bit for like a, I don't know, 45, less than 90. And then we're going to sink in that front leg. So squeeze the back leg, press into the heel. You should be able to move your toes. We'll reach the arms long. Breathe here, pull in through your belly. You can come out of this as much as you need to. And then we're just going to make this move. So we're going to lengthen up, inhaling. As you exhale, sink down. Keep pressing into the heel and lengthen up. And down. You can gaze over your front hand. I like to take my palms up so my shoulders stay relaxed back. One more time here. And we're going to sink back into warrior two. And then lengthen your front leg straight, holding your arms. Your left hip is going to sink, or not sink, but shift back. Squeeze the glute. Right arm's going to reach forward, and then just take it to wherever it reaches. So we're going to come into triangle pose. Try to get that front leg as straight as you can. So maybe you just need to come here because your hamstring is really tight. Keep this length down both sides of your body. So don't come like this or stick your booty out to try to get to the floor. Nice and long. Everything's in a line. You're going to shift your ribs forward, just find where it feels good. Top hand's going to come to your low back. Inhale to lengthen. Maybe as you exhale, you can just slide that hand down a little more. Try to open your chest. Maybe you want to look up. Maybe you want to look down. See if you can roll that right shoulder under you. As you're breathing here, maybe you can sink down a little bit more. Try not to kick your hips out behind you so you're leaning forward. So if you need to, come back up a little bit. Keep that length. We'll take one more long breath here. And then bring your shoulders all the way back up. We're going to turn the toes so that they're parallel. The feet are parallel to each other. Your toes are pointing towards the front. Hands onto your hips. Bend your knees a little bit. We're going to hinge from the hip joint. So keeping your knees bent as much as you need to. Hands can come to the floor, or again, you can grab your books or your block, taking your hands there. And then see if you can just let your head relax. Trying to lift your tailbone up towards the ceiling. So you're not, almost broke my Shakespeare. So you're not like this with your legs straight, trying to get your head down towards the ground. Bend your knees, see if you can sink your chest down. Maybe you can start to straighten your legs, and your tailbone's trying to reach towards the ceiling. Hands can be up here. Just try to get your spine as long as you can. So if you need to be up here to get the stretch through your legs, that's fine. Again, just finding the edge of the stretch, not the deepest, most painful thing. We'll take one more long breath here. And then take your hands onto your hips, press into both feet, lengthen all the way up, and we're going to come to warrior two on the left side. So left toes pointing towards the left side of your mat. Right toes can come in a little bit if it feels good, so you're sort of rotating that back hip in. But if that doesn't feel good, just turn them so that they're perpendicular to the front foot. Press the weight into your heels, squeeze your glutes, pull your belly in, press through that back foot. So you can come up higher if you need to, if your legs just not feeling being really deep in this. Again, arms out to the sides. I like to have my palms facing up. Maybe you can sink lower. Gazing forward if it feels good, and we'll move. So we'll inhale to lengthen, and exhale, sink in. Press into the heel. Inhale, reach, and exhale, sink. Try to connect your breath with your movement. And keep your shoulders relaxed down away from your ears. So we'll take this a couple more times. Make sure you're not pressing into the toes on that front foot. You're pressing into your heel, keeping your knee safe. It's coming towards your second toe. If it needs to drop in, just turn your knee in, or turn your whole foot in, not just your knee. We'll sink back down into Warrior Two, and then just like before, we're gonna just straighten that front leg, tilt your hips towards the right, keep the length down both sides. You can bring your hand here. So maybe it's just on your thigh, and you can feel the stretch down that hamstring. Your right arm's going to come to your low back, relax it. Maybe you can sink down a little bit more. Try to keep that length and relax the shoulder. You can look up, you can look down, you can just look forward, wherever feels good. Keep pulling the belly in, squeezing the hips forward so you're staying in one long line and you're not leaning forward. You want everything nice and lined up so that you get that stretch right through here. Keep breathing nice long breaths. Keep squeezing the glute on the back leg, belly pulled in. Maybe you can sink down more. One more long breath here. And then as you inhale, we're going to turn ourselves back up, toes towards the corner again. Same thing as we did before. So hands on your hips, lengthen, bend your knees a little if you need to. You want to hinge from this crease. So you're not keeping the pelvis pointing forward and reaching your back. You're turning that pelvis towards the back, hinging from that hip crease. Bend your knees if you need to. Arms can come onto your blocks to the floor. Shake your head, yes and no. See if you can lengthen your legs a little bit longer. And then when you're ready, coming back up, we're just gonna lengthen, step back to the front, deep inhale, reach towards the ceiling. As you exhale, fold all the way down. See if this time when you come halfway up, if it feels a little bit better to send your inner thighs towards the back. As you exhale, coming down, we're gonna step back with our right leg and then bring your knee down to the floor. So you're in a nice kneeling lunge. You can come up onto your hand if it feels good. If you got a lot of pressure on your knee, press into the top of your back foot. Try to take the weight out of your knee. If that doesn't feel good, you can stick a pillow under there. Or you can keep your hands on the ground so that you have a little bit less weight on that back leg. And just take some deep breaths. Squeeze the glute on that right leg. When you're ready and it feels good, we're going to take our hands down to the floor. If you need to, take those books onto the inside of your front foot. We're going to shift the weight back. Try to reach your chest over the front leg, using the books to bring the floor closer to you. So you're not, again, bringing yourself like this. You're lengthening nice and long, and if it feels okay, you can shift forward and back. So we're going to shift forward into that lunge, and then back into half split. Try not to lock your knee out, so you're keeping it bent just a little bit. Squeeze your glute as you come forward. Sink down towards that half split. Last time here. And then taking it forward. If your right hand isn't already on the ground, take it there. We're just going to twist towards our front leg. Lengthening up, pull your belly in as much as you can. And then as you exhale, take the hand down. Shift your weight back a little bit so you can bring that knee down. We're going to take one round of cat and cow. And then find your way back into center. Shift those books over to the other side. We're just going to come into the lunge on the other leg. So holding here. You can have your hands on the ground. You can be up high. Press into that back foot. Squeeze your glute. Pull everything in. Just try to get that release down the front of your hip, your psoas. Keep squeezing in your glutes so you're not hanging in your joint. And then when you activate this muscle, it lets this one relax a little bit more. And then when you're ready, just like before, we're going to take our hands down. You can put a hand on your blocks. We're just going to shift the weight, straightening out your front leg. Hands can be on the blocks so that you're closer to the floor, and then you'll just shift forward and back. So squeeze the glute as you come forward, and then don't walk this knee out, pressing it like the back of the knee towards the floor so much. Just come to where you feel the stretch. And if you don't feel the stretch, instead of pressing your back of your knee down towards the floor more, try to engage through that hamstring by pressing your foot down towards the floor, and maybe you can sink in more. And you can just move forward and back. And then this next time that you're sinking forward, holding there, you can bring your hand onto the books, and we're going to twist towards our right leg. So I'll twist away from the camera. Lengthening here, pull your belly in. And then on your exhale, bring yourself down, shift out of the lunge enough so you can bring that knee back. Just take a couple of rounds of cat and cow. And then find your way through center, hips back to your heels. Find child's pose. So you can bring the books under your head again. You can bring them back underneath your hips. Just sinking down. Do whatever you like with your arms. Maybe rock your hips side to side. And then when it feels good for you, finding your way up and finding your way all the way over into seated. So if sitting cross-legged doesn't feel good for you, you can bring your legs straight out in front of you, or take a book or a couple of pillows. You can sit on the book, bringing your hips a little bit higher. Maybe even you need 2 books. Try to find where it's nice and comfortable. If you're sitting on a book, you want to kind of bring your sitting bones right on the edge of it so that you almost have a tilt in your pelvis. It just gives you some more space. Hair in my mouth. And we're going to relax the shoulders back. Take a long, deep inhale. Reach the arms up above the head. And as you exhale, bring your right, nope, that's your left. Bring your left arm down, and we're just going to pull the belly in and stretch over. So maybe you can't get very far. You can bring yourself here. If you can get really far over, press down. Keep pressing that right hip into the floor. Lengthening as much as you can, but relax your shoulders away from your ears. You can try playing by coming a little bit further forward with your body so that you're getting a deeper stretch down that QL right through here. You can even bring your hand behind your head. Keep pulling your belly back as you exhale. Try to release the tension that you're holding in your right hip by letting your knee relax down. And then you're going to take your right arm onto your left leg and gently press yourself up Inhale the arms up over the head again, and as you exhale, we'll move to the other side. So letting that right hand come down, your left arm is reaching over. See if you can let your shoulders relax. You're letting your left knee relax, and then find where you can feel the stretch. So if you're leaning back a little bit, you're not going to really feel it down that low back area. So maybe just leaning forward towards your right leg a little. See if you can let your left hip relax down towards the floor. And again, you can hold on to your head if it's comfortable. When you're ready, take your left hand down onto the floor or onto your right knee and press yourself back up. I'm going to move off of my block and turn sideways so you can see. We're going to take our arms behind us. You can grab on to your opposite wrists. Maybe you can grab onto your opposite elbows. Maybe you just want to hook your thumbs, or maybe you can clasp your hands. And you're going to inhale, lengthen, open your chest. Maybe you can bring the knuckles to the floor. See if you can open up through those shoulders, and maybe you want to bring your gaze up towards the ceiling. Don't forget to breathe. And then when it feels good, release the arms, roll the shoulders a couple of times. You're going to take your legs straight out in front of you. So again, if this is really uncomfortable just sitting here like this, you can bring yourself up onto a book. I'll use the bigger one this time. Coming up onto it, you want to kind of sit on the edge of it, and then if you need to, you can stick maybe a pillow underneath your knees so that you're not super locking them out if you need to be really high up. We're going to take a long, deep inhale and just start to shift forward. Try to take your chest down towards your feet. So you can sit on pillows instead of a book if it's more comfortable. And we're just going to try to get the chest reaching. So you're not rounding like this to get your head down towards your knees. We're just going to lengthen out. Legs are straight, toes are pulling back. Let your shoulders be relaxed. So you're not, again, stressing out your shoulders to get to your feet. That doesn't matter. You can even bring your hands by your sides. See if you can lengthen a little bit longer, maybe adjusting through your sitting bones. Maybe you can come a little further. Just finding that edge of stretch. On your next inhale, use your hands, press yourself back up. We're going to do something similar, but this time you're going to bend your knees really deep. Try to get your belly and thighs towards each other. So that might be really high for you. If you want to, you can bring your hands underneath your knees, grabbing onto opposite wrists. And we're just going to start to shift the feet out to where it feels good, or where it feels like you have to start bringing your belly away from your thighs. We want to keep the belly and thighs together, sinking down as far as you need to. And then if it feels good, let your head relax. ready, take your hands, press yourself back up. Woo. And then we'll scoot forward and find our way onto our back. So bring your books with you and your strap. Make sure it's somewhere where you can reach it. So we're going to start out on our backs. Soles of the feet are on the ground. So if you need to watch me to see what I'm doing before you get into this, please do, so that you're not turning your head, because I really, really can't stress enough, you need to keep your gaze straight up. And you need to have the back of your head on the floor and enough room between the back of your neck and the floor that you can put your hands. So you can even put like a blanket underneath your shoulders to lift your shoulders up just a little bit. But finding your way down, watch me first if you need to. Hands by your sides, opening up. We're just going to press into the heels, start to lift them off the ground, and then you can take one or two of your books, and we're going to just bring them right underneath your hips. So you want to adjust them a little bit, find where it's comfortable. I like to have mine right across that iliac crest, so that top part of my hip joint in the back. I guess it's not the joint. Top part of my hip bone in the back. You can kind of find where it feels good. Keep your gaze straight up at the ceiling the whole time, and we're just going to hang out here. So see if you can find somewhere where it feels like a little bit of a release in your low back. Do whatever you like with your arms. Just breathe. So there's a couple of things that you can do from here if they feel good, if you want to move from here. So if you need to look and see what it is, slide those books out, come back down off of your supported bridge, and you can watch. Otherwise, just listen to the sound of my voice and keep your gaze straight up at the ceiling. So you're going to take your left knee, take it in towards your chest, and just hold it there. If that's comfortable, you can stay like that. You might need to adjust the way that you have your hips on the blocks. If it feels good, you can bring your right leg long and kind of let it just be heavy down towards the floor. Releasing a bit through that psoas again, maybe through your glutes on your left leg. Just holding here. The harder that you pull your knee in towards your chest, the more you're going to feel this. If you have like sciatic problems, or just kind of like pain down the glutes or through the psoas through the front of your hip, if you lay on top of a table and have your long leg lengthening off the table, it's a really nice way to release through both of those places. So it's essentially like this, but your foot won't be on the ground. So when you're finished here, you can stay as long as you want, but when it feels good, you'll just take that left foot back down. Sole of the foot's on the ground, right leg's going to come in. We'll bring the knee in towards the chest, adjust your hips as you need to, and then you can lengthen that left leg out if you like. Just letting the heel be relaxed on the ground. Maybe you can pull your right hip or right knee in further. So make sure you're adjusting to where it feels like a good thing here, not like a bad thing, because it should feel really nice. Trying to focus back in on that breath, and try to focus on letting your left leg be released nice and relaxed on the floor, so you're not pulling it anywhere. So a couple couple more breaths here. Maybe you can pull the knee in a little closer towards your chest. When you're ready, we're just going to release that foot down. Take the left sole of the foot back down onto the ground, press into your heels, slide that block out. We're just going to windscreen wiper the knees side to side, so bringing them one side and the other a couple of times. And then find your way back in through center. And we're going to do that same thing we did before. So grab hold of your strap. You're going to take your knees up towards your chest. Again, if you need to, you can bring the strap right behind the knees. We're going to take the left leg, cross it over the right, and start to pull the knees into the chest. If you can reach your feet, maybe you can bring them out away from each other, getting a deeper stretch down your hips. Or you could just hold the left foot with your hand and put the strap around your right foot, whatever feels good. Try to keep your low back pressing into the floor so you're not lifting up. That's what the strap's for if you need it. Noticing if this feels different. Hopefully it's a little bit more comfortable here than the first time. And then when it feels good, we'll just take the feet down, bring the knees back into the chest, and then we'll do the other side. So right leg in towards, or right leg on top of the left. You can grab hold of opposite ankles, kind of pulling them away from each other, or you can just hold the right one, the left one, maybe having the strap around it, or just hold onto the strap. See if you can pull them in a little bit closer, let your hips be relaxed on the floor. So again, not lifting them up, heads relaxed down. Seeing how it feels. And then when you're ready, we're just going to unwind those legs. You're going to take your hands on tops of your knees if it feels good. Start to bring them out towards the opposite, not towards the opposite, the same armpit. So you're bringing right knee to right armpit, left knee to the left armpit. So just like we did before, but now you're doing both legs and without the strap. If it feels good, you can stay right here with just the knees coming towards your armpits. You can grab hold of your ankles or your shins and start to lift those feet up a little bit. Holding there. You want to keep your whole spine on the ground. If it feels good, you can grab the feet. Maybe you can bring them up towards the ceiling. Way deeper stretch. If you start to bring your hips off the ground or your head to do this, just bring those feet so that they're not facing the ceiling. They're pointing towards the wall a little bit more. Or maybe grab hold of the ankles. We want the knees trying to come out towards the underarms. You can rock around a little if you can. The whole spine's on the ground. Both hips. And then when you're ready, coming back to center, pull the knees into your chest. If it feels good, take yourself up into a tiny ball. Take the longest inhale you can. Try to hold it in. And then as you exhale, release yourself down. Find where you want to be for your Shavasana. So if your low back is bothering you or if it's tight, just bring the soles of the feet down and let the knees drop in. Otherwise, you can bring the legs out. I like to bring my arms above me. So you can stay here for as long as you want, 5-10 minutes. I'm just going to take 10 long breaths so that saves you from having to sit here with me weirdly laying down, doing nothing on the screen. So if you are just taking those 10 breaths, start to bring some movement back into your fingers and toes. Maybe rocking your head side to side. We'll just lengthen the arms up really high, lengthen the legs long, take a full breath through your whole body. And then as you exhale, bending one knee at a time, roll off onto one side, using the bottom arm as a pillow. And start to blink your eyes open. And then just gently press yourself back up. Finding any seated position that's comfortable for you. Try to relax your shoulders down. We'll take a deep inhale, reach the arms up over the head, lengthen long, reaching out through those fingertips. As you exhale, hands down to your heart. Take a moment, give gratitude to your body. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you liked that. Just leave comments if you want, or you can email me or message me on Facebook. So as always, if you like this and you want to send me a donation, you can look on my Facebook page or down below. I'll have the link listed for my GoFundMe. Just trying to get a new computer. Also, since we're in quarantine, I'm not being paid because I'm not teaching any of my classes right now. So that would be really fantastic if you are still receiving your income, if you could share a little tiny bit of it, maybe just a couple of pounds with me, to say thank you for sharing my practice with you. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you all another time.